Okay, so I'm gonna try to make this a little bit fast, but knowing me, it's gonna be long. So here is the update on the HP motherboard that has an i5 12400. Now you've seen, if you watch the other video about this board, I got this on a trade, and I didn't know what it had in it. Besides, I knew it had DDR4. I was assuming it's gonna have like a 6th gen, a 7th gen, maybe at the luckiest it had an 8th gen. I didn't think it was going to have a 12th gen. But you've seen in that video, any of the software I had did not see this NVMe drive in it. That's not in it now. That's where it would be. I had that drive in another computer and it works perfectly fine. So when I stopped that video, I actually booted into it. It actually had an OS on this drive. It just wanted me to sign into it. So I was like, I'm just going to do a fresh install because I had attention on keeping this motherboard and trying to find an adapter. Like I was saying, find an adapter for I can run a regular a regular power supply and a video card on it, just upgrade the RAM. Anyways, I couldn't find an adapter anyways for the a 4-pin and a 4-pin. I found the 4-pin and a 6-pin, but in the little adapter here. So then I was just going to go and buy like the 460 watt power supply from HP that is made for like this board here. But then I go to try to do a fresh install of Windows on it, and it doesn't show this drive. Doesn't even show an SSD. So right now it has a hard drive in it, but that's that 80 gig hard drive, right? So I was like, there's no way this is one that you have to go into Windows, and where you select your hard drive that you want to install, the operating system on, doesn't show the drives. You have to click on, drives. You have to basically manually install the drivers for it will recognize the M.2, right? I had one other system like that, but it was easy. I just went on the website, picked up the drivers. You go to HP to get that driver, and it's the installer, not the driver. So you have to, extract the drivers to it. I didn't try that part because I got to a different point. I was like, well, for some reason I hooked. When I ran it, right, I could run it off my thumb drives, right? I can run it off my thumb drive, so I know the system will run off a thumb drive, and that's basically like an operating system, my utility software I use. So this drive here is a clone of my main system, right? Just the drive itself, because I use two drives. I have the NVMe, and I have another storage. I have the other storage for my games. This is just like Windows drivers, to basically operating system, and then the launchers are on here for my games. So this is a clone, so if something happens with my drive or I get corrupted or something like that, I could just, basically I use it as a backup, but it's full clone. So this is an operating system on here, so I hooked this in, through USB. It's a USB 3 solid drive, and the system booted up and run. So I was like, okay, hang on. I pulled out my old external docking. This will do, SSDs, 2.5 inch and 3.5 inch hard drives. So this had an operating system on it already. So I put this into here. Obviously I have to turn it on so the light comes on. It's still done. So I just got this figured out. So I hooked this in. It booted up. I hooked my Wi-Fi in. This Wi-Fi was working, but the signal was really bad. So I hooked this Wi-Fi in. I let Windows do an update where it says this system needs to shut down. So I had tons more updates to do. So I restarted the computer, let it do that major update. Once it started back up, I shut it down, took it out of here, and hooked it into the SATA ports, and then the system just turned on and run. I've been letting it, I let it do, I've been sitting here letting it do the updates and all that, and it's running. Can you even tell? Yeah, so here's the i5 2400. So yeah, the system runs. It's just it's one of these annoying boards that they didn't send, Windows doesn't recognize the chipset or whatever. Not, it didn't even when I try to hook a SATA SSD in it, it didn't show a SATA SSD even. I have never had a system do that before. Like I said, I had one other board before that didn't show the NVMe for Windows, but it was in an odd situation, and I just downloaded the drivers. You go into Windows, it says install here and doesn't show it. You click driver here, and then you click the driver that you need, and it installs it, and it's like, yep, right now we see your driver. You do the thing, and now we see it. Now you can install there. Never had that for an SSD unless the board was bad. But obviously you can see the SATA is working now. So then I went, well, this is before this basically is done right now. I've redone it twice. So then I went on the HP's website, and only thing I could see on their website was that you need to make a recovery. So you need to download from the Windows Store, the recovery tool. It starts up and it asks you for like the PI part number or something like that. I can't remember, but for it can identify this exact motherboard and what system it is, right? So then you download. It tells you that you need a 32 gig thumb drive. This is a 32 gig thumb drive. So I put this in, and it says it goes through the install process. It has like 28 gigs or so on this drive. So I pop this in like this, obviously like this, and I go to it, I boot off it, and I say, it tells you, do you want to like roll it back or something, or do a factory reset, put it back to factory, right? Then it warns you that the drive will be formatted, and any other users that are on here besides whoever's trying to do this, all their data would be gone too, and then the recovery part would do it. Well, it didn't do a recovery. What it did was just deleted the drive, because it goes into doing the recovery part where it should be right into the drive. I even did it with an SSD, and I did it with the original M.2. Got the same situation where all it did was delete the drive, and then it had two partitions on it, right? And one of them said part build or build part, something like that. I can't even remember now. Build parts, I think that's what it was on one partition, but there was nothing on the drive. So the drive was erased, and they partitioned it off, put two things on it, but didn't recover it. So all I did was pop this in another system, that other HP I have that has an i5 8400. I did a fresh install on Windows, and right before Windows would start up, I just stopped, just unplugged it, pulled the drive off, put it in this caddy. It booted in, and I let it do the updates, see if that was a fluke that happened before. Shut the system down, let it restart, and then shut it down again, and then I hooked it right to SATA, and now it's working. Yeah, it's just, man. So it's just kind of annoying that you have to do, you have to tell it, you have to have the drivers, because Windows doesn't have the driver to recognize this NVMe or the SATA ports for some reason. But yeah, I got it working like this, and then I probably did it the harder way. Yeah, leave it in the bottom, in the comments. Have you had an HP motherboard that wouldn't show the NVMe, so you thought the NVMe was bad, so you bought a new one? You pulled another one out, because I have another one, and still the same issue with two different drives, and then the same thing with a hard drive or an SSD still not showing up. But the NVMe is working perfectly fine in that HP computer. I've been testing it, for like a day or more. But yeah, have you had any problems, and what do you think? This is a good deal. I'm probably gonna, like I said, I got a board coming for it, so I'm gonna use a CPU. I'm gonna test it with this RAM for right now, but I am gonna order new RAM. My new board has has 4 DIMM slots on it, so I'm gonna probably order 2 8 gig sticks, something. I have to look on the support list to see what, you know, good speeds I can get at a decent price. At the minimum it would be 2 8 gig sticks. I might go with 2 16 gig sticks, but yeah, I'm probably, like I said, I'm gonna put that all in that other build, and I'm gonna sell this motherboard off. After I get the new RAM in, I'll include the RAM, the CPU, the cooler, the CPU cooler, no CPU. So the only thing out of this that someone wouldn't get would be this hard drive and the CPU, because I'll add this RAM, I'll leave the Wi-Fi Bluetooth module on there, CMOS battery, the cooler and the fan, you know, and this fan here, because this fan that goes with it, and this 300 watt 80 plus gold rated power supply. Like I said, these people just bought this system and he destroyed the rest of the system. He had, luckily he had all this out of the case because he was watching one of my other videos on how I troubleshoot it, and what I told him he could do, like make sure everything's out of the computer. He took everything out of the computer and he got mad and just smashed the whole case up. Like, dude, man, if I knew that he, you know, that he just bought it, I would have just told him to take it back to Walmart or bring it over here and we try to, you know, clone his original drive off to his new drive and then just do it. But he was like me. He wanted to do a fresh install Windows on it and actually upgrade it to Windows 11 Pro, because you can buy the keys off of like CD key places for like under $20. So he wanted to go with Pro on this. But yeah, he completely destroyed that case, and he paid, you know, about $600 some for it. So I traded probably, in my eyes, less than, even if I nitpicked and sold everything for like $5, $1, whatever, I might have had $100 worth of stuff. But I had maybe $20 in all of it. So he basically just gave me a system that he just paid $600 for, and all I'm missing technically is a case. That's all I'm missing from this system is a case, and I'd have a $600 system sitting right here. Yeah, so, you know, in the comments, like I said again, you know, I think I got a really good deal on it. You know, the guy doesn't want it back. He's not even going to buy HP anymore. Now, he just needed something fast because his other computer stopped working. But when he brought this over, I got his other system back up and running for him. He didn't want to record it, so I couldn't record it and show you, you know, as a quick fix. It was nothing to it. His reset button was faulty, so it kept resetting the computer. So he'd hit the power button and the computer just reset. It wouldn't even do anything because his reset, I just unhooked his reset button and his computer's fine. I was like, hey, if you don't need to use a reset button, your power button works. It's just your reset button's faulty, so it's like it's pushed in all the time. So his system's working now. He's happy, I guess. I didn't charge him for none of that. We did a trade. I didn't know it was going to have this CPU in it. I thought it's like I said, I thought he already owned this for a long time, and I thought it was, I was thinking it was going to have like an i5 6400, you know, like a 6th gen, 7th gen, maybe an 8th gen. But I'm going to cut this video short. The board's working fine. Like I said, I'm going to sell the board, the cooler, the fan, the Wi-Fi, and the RAM once I get all that new board tested, because I still need my case. I have a case coming for it. As you use case and use power supply, but it's a Case Air 100D, I think that's what it's called. So no tempered glass on it, and it also has a 600 watt Case Air, 600 modular watt. I think it's 80 plus bronze, might be gold. So 600 watt Case Air modular power supply in a case. Pay like $60 for it. I have it coming from shopgoodwill.com. It does have a motherboard, CPU. I think it has an i5 4590K on it, 16 gigs of RAM. That system's supposed to fully work, so I'm going to use the case and the power supply for the new motherboard I have that I'm going to use this in, and then I'm going to put that whole system in a different case and resell that off. But yeah, I'm going to call this the end of this. Yeah, leave in the comments if you know, I'm gonna keep buying HPs because they're reasonably pretty cheap, probably because people are getting tired of them. And you know what? Last thing I'll say, this board does the exact same thing as that other HP board. So when you put a video card in here, there's no way to turn off the onboard graphics. So when you put a video card in here, it will work. The video card will work, but you can't get in the BIOS, and you won't see the HP logo. Same thing on this board here. And they make these systems. You can buy this HP computer, right, with that same video card in it, with an AMD RX 6400. So they do come with that system. So this system, this motherboard does the same as the other one, like I just said. You won't, if you put a video card in it, you can't turn off the the onboard graphics from the Intel, and you don't get the HP logo, and you can get in the BIOS, but you won't see it on the screen. You had to run onboard graphics to see anything or make any changes in the BIOS, and you can't really do any changes in the BIOS on this one. But yeah, I'm gonna let this go right here. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. There's my hand in the shot.